You may be the small, but if you pursue excellence, you can become the king. When you discover excellence in your DNA, you embrace it, you want to engage a cultural reorientation, the first thing you must do is to escape the status quo. The way people think, they are saying that we just have to manage it, we just have to work with it, we just have to abide somehow and exist side by side with it. But I'm asking you, do we have to? We have to. Reorientation is you refuse to accept that. It doesn't have to remain like that. My grandfather, yes, he left it. My parents, they left it. But in my own generation, God forbid, it will not remain so. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without thinking. Begin to question standards. Begin to resist the status quo. It is not coming from you. It is coming from your spirit. I tell you what, when you're sleeping, you hear. You actually hear, but you are not processing it. You're not deaf when you're sleeping. It's not like you can't see when you're sleeping because you close your eyes. Do you close your ears when you sleep? Your ears are open, so you hear what is going on, but because your mind is asleep, it appears that you're not hearing. When your mind begins to flutter to come awake, that's when the little movements actually get you out of bed. So there is a difference between hearing and listening. So the man that's sleeping is hearing, but he's not listening. But I have seen also a wonderment to me that there are people that are not sleeping, they're hearing, but they're not listening. In a class, when we're in university, there are lots of people that were hearing, but they're not listening. Because if you want to understand this fourth step for excellence in life, you need to understand the power of observation. The word power is powerful. If you can observe, oh God, you could learn a lot of things. You could change a lot of things. You could be a lot of things. Because things are happening around us. Every day, God is trying to empower us. And so I find that the hearing is a passive activity, but listening is active. A lot of people sit down and they're awake, but yes, they are sleeping. For instance, it's not everybody everybody can hear me now, but certainly not everybody is listening. Can I tell you something? You need to optimize your life by learning the power of observation and begin to engage the focused listening wherever you go. You may ask me, why should I be listening when fools are talking? At least it is when you're listening you will know whether the person is a fool or not. And sometimes when you're not listening, it's a wise man speaking and all you did was you were hearing. And when they ask you what the person say, you cannot remember. I'm talking about an active life when it comes to observation rather than passive. A lot of us are too lazy to remain awake. The next part of the power of observation is looking and seeing. Let me back up a little bit. It's Albert Einstein that said that thinking is hard work. That is why a lot of people don't engage in thinking. So people are sitting, but they're not present. Hello, somebody. Have you had to do this to somebody before? Standing right in front of you. It's not even sitting down. You know, it's easy to sit and sleep. Some people can sleep on their feet with their eyes open. In fact, when you do this, they still don't respond, and then you have to touch them. And they say, why did you touch me? So I was waving at you. You didn't see me. Because there's a lot happening. Every day, God is trying to get information to you. You don't have to go to a university to find out. And generally, can I say something? If we're going to be honest, a lot of us, what we learned in university is not what we're using to make a living. Because all university did was to sharpen my mind. I remember when we went for, it's called law office attachment when I was in law school in 1982. The lawyer said to us, he said, if you're going to work with me, first forget everything they taught you in law school. I felt indignant. What do you mean by that? I am the Nigeria Law School. So what? I have not been called to the bar. And he said, You be patient with me, you find out very soon. And in the course of time, I found that what they taught us looked like what we needed, but it wasn't quite it. So I'm not denigrating school, no. But let school sharpen your mind. Let it make you ready to be able to absorb more information that are more critical for you to get to where you're going. Do you know the skills that you're going to need to do well in life? You can't have only one skill. Hello. Can you just be a lawyer? You don't know how to do your personal accounting. You don't have to know your banking. You don't know how to negotiate and so on. You will never do well. They never taught me negotiating in law school. But I have found in life that even if I had money to build a house, my ability to negotiate must come to play. A fool and his money will soon be parted otherwise. So the power of observation kicks in. When you are sitting anywhere, even in a bus, first listen what is going on. It is active. Do you know by culture we're not really awake people? I have found out. I'm telling you, we're a bit dozy. We're a bit sleepy. As a matter of fact, the black man is supposed to be like that. They say it's the effect of the sun. Just sleep under a coconut tree. But the white man cannot sleep because it's cold. He's got to do something to get the right temperature. So what was a disadvantage caused them to be more mentally mobile. And what was a benefit to us has caused us to be dozy. That will not be our portion anymore. So the first part of power of observation is get to be a listener, not just a hearer. And then the next one is the difference between looking and seeing. Everybody is looking at this altar. But do you know not everybody is seeing this altar? Because if you were seeing this altar, you will notice that there are dimensions. In the law of creative design, there are proportions that make things beautiful or not. I'm telling you the truth. Do you know even God obeys that law? If you were to see a beautiful person, there's a proportion to your face. It's called the 1/3 to the 1/3 of the whole. Your forehead occupies a certain part of your face. It's a proportion. Once the proportion is right, the person is good looking. So you are seeing. You are looking, but you're not seeing. So there are proportions here and there are depths. So when you wonder why is this like this and the lights are playing games on you and you did not interpret them. Now, I'm not saying interpret it just because you have nothing to do, to take away some knowledge that you will use somewhere else. For instance, when we're going to do this, it's a result of many years of observation. I had learned proportions, I've learned colors, I've learned depth and lighting and so on. So when it was time, I knew what I was going to do. I said, no, this is not going to work. I told the architect it's not going to work. No, this is not it. And when they finished, the architect himself was impressed. Because it was not his work. I couldn't draw it, but I told him exactly what to do. When your money comes, what will you build? It's a function of your observation over the years. This is not a replica of anything. It's an amalgamation of so many little things. You put together, you get a masterpiece. So for 1,000 naira, you're getting a lot. So when you go out, if you met somebody who's doing something very nicely, don't just look. People that look, all they do is admire. People that see, they begin to desire. When you have desire, there is now motion towards that thing. And then you are not easily put off. When you desire something so much, you will do a little more to make contact with that person. And you know what? When you look and you don't see, you will never ask the right questions. Somebody has said, intelligence is not only demonstrated by you knowing what to do, it's also more so demonstrated by the kind of questions you ask. You missed that one. Intelligence is demonstrated not only by having the answers, it's also equally demonstrated by the kind of questions you're going to ask. If all you did was to look and you didn't see, What you didn't see, you can't ask any question about it because it's not even on your mind. But you were in the same room with that person who saw this and used it to get a big contract somewhere else. No photographs. You didn't get that. You're sitting in the same room. Somebody has learned something from here. He's going to go to a business and he's going to use that concept and get a big contract and make a lot of money. And the person will sit next to you and you looked, but you didn't see. He looked and saw and conquered. Then I said, no cameras. So you don't capture something. All right? The third part of power of observation is being there versus being present. I'm a pastor. I see some people faithful. They come to church all the time, but I don't really, honestly, see any real transformation in their lives. I thank God because they're faithful to come to church, but I struggle with the possibility that they may be there, but they were never present. How many of us would like our children to go to some expensive school, never miss class, but never really pass the exam because he's always there, but he was never present? And this is how you know whether somebody is present. When you do this, they didn't even see you. I hope you are present. In the school of life, you must be present. When greatness enters a room, if you looked and you didn't see, you miss greatness. Hello, somebody. And if greatness enters a room and greatness begins to speak, and speaking does not really engender words all the time because there's body language. And you didn't hear and you didn't progress to listening, you don't learn anything from greatness. And when greatness is before you, like you sit next to somebody who has something great on a plane, you were there, but you were not present. You missed a connection for life. Believe me, it is one king you need to meet and your life changes for better. How does the king respond to somebody that looked and didn't see? That heard but did not listen? Was there but was not present? I can assure you that was not the kind of thing Joseph did. Joseph, when they called him, he looked and he saw Pharaoh. And when he saw, he realized that this is a bigger man than Potiphar. If Potiphar rejected me, this is a chance. Now, when he stood in front of Pharaoh, if he was standing, but he did not listen, would he be able to appreciate what the man was trying to communicate? If he didn't appreciate what he was trying to communicate, could he give him the answer? Now, okay, if he even heard, he was there, but he was not present. At the point he told him, this is what is going to happen by your dream. But at the time, Pharaoh reacted and said, so what am I going to do? It is not enough that you interpret my dream. What am I going to do about the interpretation? And he said, let the king live forever. It's a small thing. In the years of plenty, we gather. A certain proportion every year. It was a mathematical thing that he had practiced in jail. He had practiced in Potiphar's house. He had tried it. Excellence in life is not an accident. It's a build-up. You had learned when you were in Potiphar's house. You had learned in jail. You had seen the proportions. So when the king presents himself, no shaking. You just say, King, live forevermore. It is not such a big deal because the mathematical proportion of beauty is 1/3 to the whole. And because the king said, whoa, this man is here. Everybody is here. All the wise men are here. But only this man, Joseph, is present. And he became the prime minister. All his other men were there, but they were not present. It is the man who has a solution that is present on that day. The last one is, I've told you about hearing and listening, looking and seeing, being there and being present. Can I ask all the employers here? employers, let me see your hand, or you employ people. The day your staff start being present in the office, will you not be glad? I didn't hear you. Would you not be glad? Don't you have a high turnover of staff that come to the office but they're not present? Serious. Do you know how many people? Let's leave that matter. Now, the last one is between dreaming and envisioning. Some people come to me and say, Pastor, this is my vision. I want you to pray over it. And as a good man, I ought to love them. I want to pray about it. Then I choose to ask some questions. And I realize what you're presenting to me is a dream, is not a vision. A dream is very dreamy. It's very blurry. The details are not there. You come to me, you have a business vision. The demarcations and the overlaps are not there. I can't even see the basic interaction between your requirements and your needs and your finances and the market. I can't see all of that. And you say, pray about my vision. I think I'm wasting my anointing. Bible says your old men shall dream dreams. Their time is over. They can afford to be dreaming. But your young men shall have visions. Look at the people on that side. You're not clapping. What is wrong? You shall have visions. Nobody funds a dream. Go and ask Joseph. Joseph carried his dream all over the place. Nobody funded it until he had a vision. The dream said that they will bow down before me. Say, really? They kicked him. But when Pharaoh had a problem, and what was a dream became an analyzed, profiled answer and solution, it was clearly a visionary representation of what could be done in the midst of a famine to take the people to another level, to the extent that Pharaoh bought everybody's land at the end of the famine. When the dream became a vision, the man funded it. The guy started to write FGN2 from jail. It's like you flying the second in command jet in Nigeria and you came out of Kirikiri. That is the difference between a dream and a vision. The power of observation. You takes a dream and makes it into a vision. It is vision that people run with. The Bible says, write the vision. Make it plain so that men will run. If nobody's running with what you're carrying around, it is still a dream. And then when you observe, it's like fishing. You cast your net, you catch tadpoles, you catch fish, you catch stone, you catch all kinds of things, you draw it in. That's observation. Then you sort out what you caught. What is valuable and what is not valuable. And then what is valuable is what you now take to the market. It takes us from observation to attention. You observe everybody. In the process of observing everybody, you delineate who is a fool, who is a wise man, who is going somewhere, who is not going somewhere, who has a dream, who has a vision. Then you separate them. It is the ones on the right side you pay attention to. Because you see, observation is not as tasking as attention. You will exhaust yourself if you pay attention to everything. Your life will be wasted. And there are too many people that want my attention. And all I can give you is observation. Because attention is for the person that has something and is going somewhere. Let me tell you, attention requires intensified focus. When you pay attention to something, your whole being is focused. It saps energy. So I can observe a lot of things, but I can't pay attention to everything. So if you want excellence in life, you will have the power of observation. Out of what you observe, you sort them out. Come on, tell your neighbor, sort them out. There are too many time wasting people, too many time wasting ideas. You sort them out and you Pay attention to what works. I'll ask the question, what do you pay attention to? Some people pay attention, believe it or not, when they're watching African magic. They don't pick up their phone. They don't talk to their children. Their husband can say, Femi, I'm watching African magic. 100% attention. A lot of men, when they're watching football, they're prepared to divorce their wives. They pay attention. But when their wife is talking to them, they're only observing her. I knew I was going to get some reaction there. And I know a lot of women too. When they know their husband has collected the check from the contract, they pay attention. Any other time, they are just observing him. And I know a lot of pastors too. When some people buy a big car, suddenly they pay attention. Before that, observation. You get the picture? All right. You see, I learn everywhere I go. I do. In some places, I learn what to do or how to do things better. And in other places, I learn what not to do or how not to do things. My wife is my witness. She says to me, how do you do that? We watch a movie. And everybody's excited. I'm excited. I saw the, movie and all the film tricks and so on. I'm excited because I like, action. And I said, baby, but did you know that these guys were preaching the word of God? He said, you have started. You have started. You have started. I said, okay, what about this? And I said, but do you know I learned how to solve that problem? He said, how did you see that? And I said to her, baby, I have learned that God is always speaking. He used the donkey to speak to a prophet before. God is always teaching. He will even use your enemy to bless you if you have the power of observation. Can you bless Jehovah? I want to recommend distant learning, particularly for those of us that who have left school anyway. You see, you don't have too much time going back to school, to tell you the truth. The rewards of going back to school, I think it's over touted. There is a school of life that you can learn a lot from. I call it distant learning, like observing people, fools and wise men. Solomon talks a lot about that. He observes everything and he learns from everything. It's like distant learning is like a borrowed book. How many of you know that the book you bought is the one that takes forever for you to read? The one you borrowed, what do? You see, if a wise man lives in my house, I'll be taking him for granted, and he'll be talking, I'll not be listening. But because, you see, I don't know a lot of wise men at the level I want to get to. So generally, when I come into the company of wise man, I change all the rules. I'm no longer the boss, I'm the servant. I'm no longer the talker, I'm the listener. Some of you talk when you should be listening. Because the wise man is like a borrowed book. I have him only for a short time. Why do you waste those moments? Why? I remember when I was in law school, I had gone to University of Ife, and I thank God for University of Ife, but the group of people I met in University of Ife were different from the group I met in law school. They were completely different. And I was smart enough to know the difference. I observed there was a change. And then I changed my attention to acquire what I needed for my next level. I met people. When I went to their homes, I saw the way they ran their home. Ooh. Quickly, I made friends with the mother. So anytime I come to the house, my son Femi, come. So I will hear the things they were not speaking in my own house. I saw how they raised their children. And I said, if they raise these children, no wonder they're doing so well. And I said, if it's too late for me, I will learn it because of my own children. And I made friends with them. Till today, when I walk into those homes, they throw all the doors open. And I began to look like them. I began to talk like them. I began to be connected by them. Even my parents asked me, say, where do you know these people from? I said, sit down there. You are retiring. Me, I'm just going into life. You know, I'm telling you honestly. I'm talking about the power of observation and being able to use it like a borrowed book. Because I knew law school was 1 year. It was in law school that I decided, you know what? This Ife is good, but no, the vision I have for myself, these guys, I love them. They can't take me there. I need to make some new friends. So I programmed myself. I said, no, I'm going to another level, University of London or Cambridge. That's it. And I told my dad, go and get your money ready. And I went there. And I learned other things. And I met other people. And when I saw the kind of things, the kind of dreams they had, I said, yeah. All this time. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to stay with these people. Because I could observe. Some of them went to parties with us and they didn't learn anything. And then today they say, you have become a snob. Look at the way you are talking. You know, people that say that, they want to keep you where you used to be. Your diction is better. They have a problem with that. Psst. Shh. Your dressing is better. Talk to the hand. Now you know the choice places to go to. You made new connections. You have a problem with that. See you later, alligator. Don't ever let people that cannot observe a change of season keep you in a season that is past. Can I tell you something about surfing? A surfer does not ride a wave that is going out. He waits for the next wave. Don't die with the last wave. Get ready for the next one. A great surfer knows how to spot the next wave. It's the next wave. The one that is already moving is about to finish. May we not die before our time. Can I tell you something? If you don't know how to posture yourself, you will be alive and yet you are now irrelevant. Because you moved with something that was expired. Have you learned something? All right. Okay, let me leave that. Can I just give you one scripture? Acts 3:4-5. There was a man that had a problem. The Bible says he was lame from his mother's womb. He was at the gate beautiful, which means he was it was a bad problem in a good place. And when this man came to the temple, they said to him, verse 4, and fixing his eyes on him with John, Peter said, look at us. Where do you think he was looking before? He was looking at them. He says, look at us. So when they said that, he then gave him his attention. All the time the man sat there, he was just looking at people. He never focused on anybody. And so when his results came, and the man was about to miss it, and I'm telling you, somebody, this is your word. When the result came, he was going to do business as usual. He was going to look at them, observe them, but not give them attention. And they knew that he couldn't get the benefit of the result that he so needed. He was there all his life. And there's some of us who are in a bad place, maybe professionally, maybe financially, maybe in our status of life, maybe our pedigree. We've been there for too long. And when your result comes, it doesn't have to be a church thing. And the result is passing by, but you're always observing. You don't process, you don't analyze, so you don't even know what to pay attention to. The result had to say, pay attention. And when he did, he said, stand up. And the man walked. You see, not every result will shout at you. Not every result will tell you you're just observing, you're not paying attention. May any foolish thing we have been paying attention to, may the Lord deliver us from it.